This is the Horse Radio Network. This is episode 147 of Horse Tip Daily. A different horse tip, a different equine topic, a different equestrian expert every day. Horse Tip Daily brings the world of equine knowledge to you one day at a time. Enjoy today's tip. Hi, everybody. Glenn the Geek back with you from Lexington, Kentucky, and you're listening to Horse Tip Daily. Well, today we have back with us the international dressage phenomenon of Debbie McDonald. She's co-host of the Dressage Radio Show, and she's a favorite for sure. We get more email for her than probably anybody else on the whole network. She is, of course, a dressage rider and competitor and trainer and teacher and Olympic and World Equestrian Games medals. She's done it all, and she's well respected throughout the dressage world for her talents. And, of course, she's a sought-after clinician internationally as well. And this tip is taken from episode 38 of the Dressage Radio Show. She was on there with host Chris Stafford. If you'd like to hear the whole show, you can go and take a listen at dressageradio.com, episode number 38. So here is Debbie and co-host Chris Stafford from the show.
Well, we're coming to our tip of the week, Debbie, and something that you've been giving some thought to, and we're going to call, which side does your horse favor? So how did you come up with this? Because obviously you see a lot of horses ride, and you see a lot of riders react to horses, and which horse, and understanding which side those horses favor.
Right. I mean, a lot of times when I'm giving clinics around, I notice that people are not really understanding sometimes what a stiff side really is. And the stiff side is the side that's actually the side that in a circle has to elongate. So like if you're going in a right circle, for instance, and you find it a little bit more difficult for your horse to go that direction, it doesn't mean that the right side is. It's the left side of the horse's body that needs to be stretched and exercised. Just like we would if we were bending from side to side. One side usually is much harder to bend over that direction, and it's very much the same for the horse. And so like you would be, if you go to the left, that side is actually going to be much easier for that horse, and when you go back again to the right, it's not really the right rein, it's the left side of their body. And that's one thing that people need to recognize in their horses, because there's lots of gymnastics you can do to help with this, just like with our own bodies. Lots of stretching exercises and just making circles. You know, like if you were in a figure eight, for instance, you'd make 2 circles to the right to keep exercising the left side, and then one circle to the left to give the horse a break and let the muscle kind of have a break for a moment. But it's also it can change from day to day, because a horse can actually have sore muscles just like we do. And for instance, that side, you might supple it really well one day, and you'll come out and you'll feel the right side being a little bit stiff. And it's something for a rider to think about when they're riding their horses, to make sure that they do gymnasticize both sides and actually get their horses to feel more supple to both directions, and not thinking that it has much to do with for instance, I see a lot of people working hard on that inside rein, when actually it's not that side of the body at all that's having the difficulty. So it's just something to put in your back of your mind when you're riding your horse, and you think, maybe this could be sore muscles. It could be just the natural side of the horse. They're naturally going to be a little bit stiffer to one side. So just something to think about, and take the time to really gymnasticize your horse and make it become a little bit more symmetrical and supple to both sides.
Now, when you're doing those suppling exercises, Debbie, the gymnastics to keep them supple on both sides, would you always do that with them on the bit? No, you can definitely do that in your warm-up. I mean, you can start that right away in your long, low warm-up, and when you cool them down, same thing.
I mean, those are exercises that you can do from the beginning that actually start, in a very, it's kind of a better way to start getting into it, and that's great that you brought that up because you're warming those muscles up anyway, so it's great to start warming them up gently like that on a big 20-meter circle. And then as you get them on the bed, you can make those circles, 15, 10 meters, But in the beginning, the nice big 20-meter circles and giving them a time for those muscles to get blood flow and oxygen to those muscles.
Would you ever use poles on the ground on a circle or part of a circle, obviously, just those 3 or 4 poles on the ground, to encourage a horse to go long and low and supple up the side which he's been favouring, to get to give him a chance to, if you will, lengthen and come through his body in a supple way by focusing on the poles rather
right.
on what you're trying to achieve, if you see what I mean. It's just a means to an end.
Exactly. I never think that poles on the ground in any way are a bad thing. It also even helps the horse keep its attention. So, and it like you said, it's a great way to have a horse, they want to reach down and look at what they're going to step over. Mm-hmm. So it's a great exercise to help a horse that maybe doesn't like to stretch long and low.
Yes.
Which we must also say has nothing to do with Rollker. I have to say that because there's a lot of people talking about that.
Yes.
So that, don't think that you can't still ride your horse in that way because it's a great way to warm up the muscles and the mind.
And you don't have to have the horse's chest, chin on his chest. This is a way of extending him, encouraging him to use his shoulders and lengthen in front and as Debbie says, to reach down, to focus on his stride. And, of course, it's very good for their rhythm too, isn't it? And especially with a young horse, Debbie, to use poles, just to get them sort of ambling over a pole and get them into a rhythm so they don't think about it. It just
absolutely, and it's just like I said. When I think of long and low, I think of a good way to make somebody get a visual of that is if you visualize your horse in a pasture and grazing. That frame of the horse,
yes,
when it's stretching down to grab a bite of grass, is very different than stretching to bite its chest.
Absolutely.
And so that's kind of, you get a visual of what long and low should be. And it should be more of the horse reaching out to grab the grass. And a very natural position for a horse to be in.
Very natural, obviously. That's a great image to think of it as a reference for this. So I think that's a great tip. I hope people have found that helpful.
Well, thank you to Debbie and Chris for that tip this week, and you can hear that whole episode at dressageradio.com, episode number 38. And they had as a guest on that episode, they actually had Ashley Holzer and the report on the Palm Beach World Dressage Masters. So you can hear all of that over there, and we appreciate them letting us borrow their tips from their show. They do some great shows, and they're very, very popular. We have the largest active audience, I think, with the Dressage Radio Show, because dressage people do love their sport, and we love having them listen. So thank you very much to everybody who listens to the Dressage Radio Show. And don't forget, you can check out all the other great shows at horseradionetwork.com. I wanted to remind you, too, if you're going to buy anything through Amazon soon, please stop over to Horse Tip Daily and click on the Amazon banner in the middle of the page. And it won't cost you any more. Just go buy what you were going to buy at Amazon. But we get a little bit of a kickback, and it helps support the Horse Radio Network and keep this show on the air. So any help you can give us with the purchases you buy at Amazon, we would appreciate it. I'll be back again tomorrow with another new expert and a different horse tip. Until then, stay safe, everyone.